What is going on, Performance Academy athletes? Seth here. This is week 7. So we have officially concluded the Performance Academy as far as the modules go, but you still have 4 extra weeks to access the Performance Academy. And we are jumping in here tonight for a bonus Performance Academy Live to talk about mental games. So that's what we're going to discuss. A few strategies that you can start implementing right away to help improve your mental game on the course. So glad to have you all here. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the comments and if you can hear me okay. And let me know if you want if mental game is something that you feel is important for you to work on. Just say, yes, I want a stronger mental game in the comments. Let me know. And also, talking about the weeks of the academy, you still have plenty of time to go through the previous weeks. So no matter where you're at, if let's say you've only gotten through week 2 of the content, you've only gotten through week 4, maybe you've gotten through week 6 and you're like, you know what, I want to go back and I want to review some things. You can do that. Go back in. You still have time to go through and watch those videos over again, or maybe catch up on the ones that you haven't gotten to yet. And then the training exercises, they're always there for you, okay? You're always going to have access to the training. So just keep those links that you've gotten each week somewhere on your computer so you can click on them and you'll always be able to go in and access the Performance Academy training exercises. Now, before we jump into mental game, I have received questions about, what's the next steps? And that's a great question. The next steps for any of you that want to keep your training going, we have something called the Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle. Now, you have to go through the Performance Academy, which all of you have gone through the Performance Academy, no matter what stage you're in. If you say you've only gone through week 2, week 4, that's okay. It's about making sure that you have access to the content inside the Performance Academy, and then you can get into the Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle, and that is a monthly membership that we have lots of great members in from all around the world. And that is where we get deeper into comprehensive training programs. There's a private Facebook group for Inner Circle members. We have coaching rooms every Tuesday. We just finished one right before here. So we don't have any Performance Academy coaching rooms, but there's still Inner Circle coaching rooms that go on every Tuesday. And then every one Tuesday a month, the first Tuesday of each month, we have second Tuesday of each month, we have Inner Circle Lives. So we have one coming up next week, and we're going to have a very special guest on that we're going to be sharing more information on, but you're going to hear it here first. Sarah Sinclair, a great friend of mine. She runs Get Gritty Nutrition. She is a nutrition coach. We have great conversations about nutrition, about habits, about finding balance. So I'm excited to have her joining me for Inner Circle Live next week. And we're going to talk about nutrition, how to improve your nutrition as an athlete and just really as a human, finding balance and building strong habits. So I'm excited to have Sarah on. So if you are interested in the Inner Circle, we'll be posting more information about the Inner Circle and how to join that. It is $10 a month, cancel anytime. But as a Performance Academy member, you get 2 weeks, 2-week free trial. So you get 14 days to test it out, to see if it's something for you. And no questions asked. If you want to stop before that 14 days, you won't be charged anything. But there will be more information coming out on how to test out the Inner Circle. Now, tonight we're going to talk about the mental game. And in the Inner Circle next week, starting on Sunday, we're going to be launching a 10-day series where we're going to go through each day. There's going to be a new video that shows up in a guide inside the Facebook group, the Inner Circle Facebook group, that breaks down deeper into what we're going to be kind of touching on tonight. So if you want to join in, you want to get on those videos, make sure you go check out the Inner Circle, sign up for that free trial. You get those mental game coaching videos in there that are kicking off on Sunday, this coming Sunday. But let's talk about mental game. the mental affects the physical affects the mental. If we want to improve our performance on the course physically, we also have to take steps, okay, action steps towards improving our game mentally, okay? Because if we can put all the preparation in the world of our physical preparation into throwing, our skill practice, our putting practice around the basket, but if we are not actively working on our improving our mental game, then we can, have the performance that we never expected out on the course, right? Because we get on the course, we're like, hey, I've been putting a lot of effort into my physical game. I've been putting a lot of effort into my training, into my practice. But then we start falling apart mentally. Then we're not going to really be able to tap into all that training that we put in on the physical side. So you need to be working on your mental game. And so that's the big first key of mental game, of improving your mental game, is it is an active process that you need to create a plan for and implement steps into improving your mental game. I've talked to a lot of people about mental game and say, what are you doing with for your mental game, improving your mental game? Because they want a better mental game. They say, oh, I've read, Bob Rotella's books, and I've read these books, and I've read these blogs, and I say, that's awesome. Now, what is 1, 2, 3 things that you learn from those books, from those articles, from those videos that you're implementing right now to improve your mental game? What action steps have you taken from that? And most of them are like, it was a really, really great book on mental game. And I love it. I love mental game books. I love reading them. But if we are identifying 1, 2, 3 things that we can start taking action on, then really we're just reading a book, right? So just like you go and you say, I want to become a better putter, so I got to get some putters in my hand and I got to get around a basket. If you want to improve your mental game, you have to be an active participant in it. Okay. So that's the first big thing, is just raise your hand and say, I want a better mental game. And so I'm going to actively work on improving it. Okay. If you want to do that, let me know in the comments if you want a better mental game and you're going to want to actively improve it. Say, yes, I want a better mental game. So that's the first thing. The next thing I want to talk about is having a fixed versus a growth mindset. So we can want a better mental game. Okay. We can say, okay, I want to take action steps towards improving my mental game. Good, Elliot. Yes, you want a better mental game. It says Facebook user. It says yes. I'm not sure who that is. If you should be able to see on there a way to click to let you know that or to allow me to see your name. It should be there on above the video here. If not, no worries. You can always put your name in there if you want me to see, but it says Facebook user for a few of you. Andrew, you want a better mental game coming in on YouTube. Tyler, yes, definitely. So active participant, you can say, okay, I'm reading a book or I'm watching what Seth is talking about, and I'm going to take 1, 2, 3 things that I'm going to put into action. The next thing is whether you have a fixed or a growth mindset. Okay. There's a really great book called Mindset by Professor Carol Dweck, and she dives into this fixed mindset versus this growth mindset. Now, there are many of us, most of us are usually in a fixed mindset or in a growth mindset, but that doesn't define who we are. Like we're not genetically predisposed to only being in a fixed mindset. We can never have a growth mindset, and vice versa, right? We want to try to have a growth mindset on everything. And I lived for many, many years on a fixed mindset. I had the worst grades you could ever imagine to graduating high school. I graduated high school with the lowest GPA you could actually graduate. And my mindset was that I was a horrible student. I was a horrible test taker. I couldn't think through problems. This is who I was. I was a poor student. I was not smart, and I wasn't going to be able to grow in any way, especially in college or anything, right? Well, when I went into the military, they don't allow you to be 18 and with a fixed mindset. Uh, I had to grow. Like, I was forced into growing, and that's a good thing. Um, I had to do things that made me uncomfortable. I couldn't say, I'm out there on a boat in the Coast Guard and it's just me and two others, and I have to perform skills and really think through problems. I couldn't say, yeah, you know what, I had the lowest grades in high school that you could get and success and graduate with. And so I probably shouldn't be here. No, I had to do it. And it really changed my mindset and put me into more of a growth mindset. When I went to college, after I went through fire academy and I went through college and I graduated, and I'm not saying this is a brag to brag at all, but I graduated top of the fire academy. And then when I went through college, I graduated summa cum laude at the top of my class in kinesiology with a 3.97 GPA. And I'm, like I said, I'm not saying that because I'm saying I'm like incredibly smart or anything. It's just, it was a growth mindset. I entered college with, hey, I can learn new things. I can get better at things, right? And and it showed, right? And so coming from a fixed mindset in my youth to a growth mindset now, there's still things that I know that I get fixed about, and I have to tell myself, no, I can learn through these things. And mental game is one. That's a very specific, or it's a not a specific. It's a big roadblock for many people. Is they go, you know what, like I've just I tend to be a negative person, or I don't feel like I can get better with my decision making, or I get very frustrated and I have a tendency towards anger on the course, right? When we say those kind of things, that's putting us in that fixed mindset that I can't change my attitude. I can't change how I see things. I can't change my mental game because I get frustrated and I'm quick to anger, right? That's fixed. We can work through that. We can grow. So not only then starting with, I need to take action steps, I need to be an active participant into improving my mental game, but I also need to know that I can get better. I can improve my mental game. If me getting hot on the course is not helping me, I can do things to help interrupt that pattern of getting hot, getting heated, and and put me in a better place to where I'm either not heated or I'm using that fire to cook my food and not burn my house down, right? Because now I'm channeling a different way. But that's a big thing, is having that fixed mindset. Those two things, action steps, being an active participant, okay, and having a fixed mindset, those are like the foundations. Because we can talk about breathing, we can talk about all these, focusing and all these other strategies on how to uh, improve your mental game, improve what your focus is on in the moment. But if you're not working on anything off the course to improve the game, you're only waiting till something's going wrong to actually try to now work on your mental game, or you believe that's just, you can't be that person, right? Then doesn't matter any of the other strategies. You've got to work on those two and then allow those other strategies will start to take hold, and you'll be like, hey, this focusing and this breathing drill can work, because I know it can work, even though it's never worked for me, and I didn't think I was kind of person that could make that happen and could make it work. I can. I have a growth mindset. I can improve my mental game. I can be more calm-headed on the course. I can let things not bother me on the course, and here's the strategies I use to do that. So those are the two of the pinnacles of improving your mental game. All right, a couple other things to talk about with the mental game here. And I said in our course on the mental game that's going on in the inner circle, there's videos on these, and we dive deeper into them. So if you have any questions, please post them in there, and I can dive into them deeper. But if you're like, oh, he's only skimming the surface on this. There's a lot we can definitely talk about on improving the mental game. All right, a few other things to talk about tonight. Trusting your stuff. When I was in college, I went through sports psychology class, and I was blessed to have a professor who was pretty much like world-renowned expert on sports psychology. Dr. Ken Ravizza, he passed last year, and what he brought to the field of sports psychology was it was world class, because he made things so actionable that you can implement right away. But one thing he would always say is trust your stuff. Now, he worked with brain surgeons, he worked with Blue Angels, he worked with the Angels baseball team, he worked with NFL players, he worked with everybody that needed to improve their mental game. They reached out to Dr. Ravizza because he wrote the book. He literally wrote books on improving your mental game. And one thing he would say is trust your stuff. Now, I just broke my wristband today, but I usually have a wristband says disc golf strong, trust your stuff. And that's where I got that. Trust your stuff was Dr. Ravizza. He would always say that. Trust your stuff. Trust your stuff. You've put in the work. Okay. Now you're here. You're on the field. This is where you got to put it all into action. So just trust it. Trust your stuff. Because if we don't feel confident in what we've done and what we can do, then the results are not going to be where we want them to be in many cases. Okay, so we have to, as long as we put in the work, then we show up and we just do. Okay, because if I'm trying to learn and do at the same time, and I'm not feeling confident in myself and my skills, then it's not going to give me the results that I want. So I have to trust my stuff. Okay. Let's see. Before I get into more, I want to read some of these. Hello from Saskatchewan. Hey, Shane. Thank you. I'm glad you like that analogy. Played yesterday with others who are much better than me and are intimidating, so I got discouraged and resorted to poor habits. Got to work on my mental game. This is perfect timing. Excellent. It doesn't let me know who you are, but I'm glad it's just as Facebook user. So if you want me to let me know who you are, just post in there, post a comment. But I'm really glad that that you're here for this. And playing with others that are better than us, it can definitely be discouraging if we don't work on our mental game and trust our process and trust who we are and use it as a learning experience. So I've had the good fortune of playing with professional players on on the course, and I show up and I play my game, and I tell myself, like, I'm not good enough to be disappointed, right? So like I played with Eagle, and I played around together, Waco 2019. We were staying together, and we went out and played a round after the tournament was over because it got shut down early because of COVID. And that was my first round I ever played with Eagle. And Eagle is obviously way better than me. There's not even a question, right? But I didn't embarrass myself because I just said, I'm not going to be able to play at his level, and I'm not even going to try to play at his level. I'm just going to enjoy myself. I'm going to learn, get a few tips from him just by watching him play while I'm out there with him. But I'm just going to enjoy the moment. And I was able to stay comfortable with my skills and what I could do. And I think I got a birdie on at least one hole where he parred. But I didn't say anything, and he didn't say anything. But I was just like, hey, okay, I'm not embarrassing myself, but I wasn't trying to do anything spectacular. I was just going out and staying within the moment. And it was a lot of mental game practice that allowed me to do that. So I'm glad that you're here, as well. Biggest issue is lacking confidence on the green. I tend to lock up, Andrew. Yes. So not only is that on the green, it's not only getting the reps in off the course, right, around the putting basket, but also developing that routine and sticking to that routine. So if you go and you watch like baseball pitchers, they have their routine, and baseball hitters, they have their routine that they go through. and that helps them just lock in and just focus on what they need to focus on in the moment. And usually, or in many cases, we're putting expectations onto what's going to happen. We're focusing on the how big the moment is, how big this putt is, versus it's just a putt, right? So we're attaching like, oh, this is for birdie, or this is not double bogey, or this is for the win, or this is, because there's a lot of people watching me, right? So we can tend to put all these expectations on our putt versus just focusing in on the moment and just doing what we need to do. Okay. And not having those expectations. So developing a routine is a big thing. Okay. And sticking with that routine. A lot of the best putters out there, they develop that routine and they stick to it. They don't stray from it. And when they do stray from it, they realize that their routine gets off, and then they start to have issues with their putt. So then they go back to the routine. But locking up, yeah, it's a common thing. Trust your stuff. I heard that from Gary Mack and Rick Sessinghaus. Thanks for explaining. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that they are talking about it as well. Former goalie used to meditate scenarios in my mind so I'm mentally ready and not just physically ready. Shane, that's a great point. Something that I talk with my athletes about is visualization. And so visualization, it plays a huge role, can play a huge role in showing up on the course confident in your abilities and being able to stay within the moment. So they've done studies where they've had people visualize, like there was one study where they had people visualize, they had injured, they were, gosh, what was the sport? I can't think of the sport right now in the moment. It was a winter sport. I can't think. I'll get back to you with that. But they had them do visualization of themselves doing the event because they couldn't do it because they were injured. And then they had others that didn't do the visualization. And the ones that did the visualization came back and had less deficits, performance deficits, because the mind running through and meditating and using that visualization of yourself being successful, that the mind can't has a hard time telling what's real and what's not. So like when we're in a movie theater, we're watching a scary movie, someone pops out and we go, right? We know that we know that obviously we're not in danger, but our mind still takes that as a real scenario, right? So closing your eyes, meditating, doing some visualization on yourself being successful, putting, driving, all those, it can make a huge impact. Basketball, shooting free throws. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So those are a few things on mental game. I'm going to get a few more. Another one is not being being disappointed and not being disappointed. Okay. And I alluded to this earlier when I said that when I was playing with Eagle, that I told myself, like, I'm not good enough to be disappointed. Like I'm not as good as Eagle. So if I'm not performing like Eagle, I can't be disappointed, right? Eagle puts in way more work than I do into being a professional disc golfer. And so I'm expected, I should expect to not be playing at his level. And that helped me. And it helps me all the time. Like I go out and I play and I say I'm not good enough to be disappointed. And I got that from a friend of mine, a mentor, who's an amazing strength coach, works with Olympians, works with high-level athletes, works with Navy SEALs. He did all kinds of top performers he works with. And he told me one time he would tell his collegiate athletes, he would say, hey, they would get very, very upset with their performance. And he would say, hey, you're not good enough to be disappointed. You got a lot of stuff going on in your life. Right? You got a full-time school, you got this, you got that, you got lots of responsibilities. Right now, if this is the Olympics and you are going for gold and you don't get gold, like, yeah, be disappointed because you've been working every day for years and years and years to win gold in the Olympics, right? But if you are a full-time college student, if you're a full-time, you got a family, you got a full-time job, you're only able to get out on the course once or twice a week, doesn't mean that we don't have expectations to be better, right? But if I'm only able to get on the course once a week to practice or to play, and I'm only able to do field work once a week, then me shooting hot rounds and winning tournaments is probably not going to happen. That's just because, you get out, the more work you're able to put into it, the better you're going to be able to perform in the moment, right? So, not that I don't want to perform at my best, but it helps me in the moment because I go, I'm not good enough to be disappointed. I'm going to take this as win or learn. And it's all learning. It's all learning for me, right? In skills that I don't have enough time to focus as much energy as I want. Now, if I'm out there and I'm practicing 5 days a week, 6 days a week, and I'm working disc golf, then I'm going to expect myself to perform at a higher level. But if I've got lots of other things going on in my life, you know, it's okay. It's okay for me to go out there and not perform like I've been practicing 5 days a week when I've only been practicing once a week, right? That takes off the pressure. Takes off pressure and allows me to perform a lot better. Allow me to perform a lot better when I play with Oakley or Eagle, or I'm out playing with other players and I don't expect to be as good as them, right? So it helps it helps a ton. A couple other things that we'll focus on tonight is entering the cave. I talk about this. There's a video about it. One of my favorite quotes is by Joseph Campbell. It says, "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasures you seek." And the why I love that quote is that there's so many things that so many caves we could explore that could help us just become better humans, better versions of ourselves. But in some cases, in many cases for people, it's scary to go into that cave, right? So to improve my mental game, like let's say that anger, I find that let's say I find that I get angry a lot on the course. Okay, me being angry on the course is more than likely not an on the course issue, right? Like I'm getting angry on the course about a missed putt or about this or that, but there's something probably deeper that I need to explore in my life off the course that will have the impact that I want on the course, right? So I may need to explore some caves and go, okay, anger, I'm quick to anger on the course, but I may have to look at other areas of my life and go, am I angry in other areas of my life? Maybe what is the situation like at home? Like there's other areas I can explore. And if you want to explore those caves, you might come out on the other end and find that you have made positive improvements, and not just on the course, but maybe off the course as well, right? So I've worked with athletes where they are uh, having anxiety on the course, and they're having these anxiety attacks on the course, and we could do focusing work on the course, we could do breath work on the course, but it really took them exploring some of the things in their lives that were making them were contributing to that anxiety, that they worked on those, and then that improved their on how they responded to things on the course. Okay, their anxiety levels went down on the course because it was the things off the course they were working on. So that's why I talk about, in mental game, is exploring those caves. And it's that, again, I'll repeat that quote from Joseph Campbell: "The cave you fear to enter holds the treasures you seek." Is that you want to improve your physical game, you want to improve your mental game, right? You want to improve your emotional game. A lot of times it's work that we need to do in our lives, and I find that true for myself in so many cases, that if I want to improve in one way, it's usually something deeper that I got to work on. Another thing I want to talk about is improving your concentration. So we can take steps to improve our concentration. There's apps, there are focusing techniques, there's breath work, meditation. but to be able to focus intently on something. I remember when I was in the Coast Guard, we would do man overboard drills where we would be out on the boat in the San Francisco Bay, and then someone on the boat, one of my bosses, would just take a big buoy and just throw it overboard and be like, man overboard. And immediately, like, we had to spring into action, and I would have to, if it was me that first saw the buoy, then my eyes had to focus on that buoy, and I had to stay on that buoy, like, and I could not look anywhere else. So as the boat came around, I would be walking around and I would be staring at that buoy. And if there was any seas and if we were inclement weather, it was raining and the rain hitting my face, I would be focusing and I would never take my eyes off that buoy. And I had to concentrate so hard to not look at anything else. And it made a huge difference. Like, it was hard in the beginning, but it got easier. But being able to focus in on something and ignore the distractions around you is huge. Because if we're in seas, if there's waves, there's chop, and someone falls in the water, and I take my eyes off even for a second, I look away, I may look back and be like, I lost it. I can't find it anymore. Right. And that's not what we want. So I had to be able to improve my concentration and my focus. So that in disc golf, as athletes, we want to be able to do that as well. We want to be able to focus in on something where we can block everything else out. We can block out the crowds. We can block out the noise. We can block out the rain hitting our face, things like that. And that can happen, but it takes practice. So do that. Focus in on something. Focusing on something. You can start, use it meditation as you do it. Be very meditative about it. Focus in on something and just stay there and stay on it and do some breath work. And when your mind wants to start to move away to something else, bring your thoughts back to what you're focusing on. When you want to look at something else, bring it back. Okay. It's a skill we can improve. I was not good at it, but after many, many reps of man overboard drills and things like that, I got pretty good at being able to focus in and concentrate on something and ignore other things. One more skill I want to talk about: breath work. Breath work. If you want to improve your mental game, you got to work on your breathing. Okay? They work on it in high level athletics. They work on it in the military, in the operating room, in yoga studios, in politics. Like, everyone's talking about breath work, because if we can control our breath, we have a better chance of controlling our mind and our body. I went through a wilderness first responder course recently, and so I was out for, it was a 4-week course, but the last week was all in person, 3 weeks online. And I had the honor of being partnered up with a gentleman who was a former commander of SEAL Team 6, Navy SEAL Team 6. And he also was led the presidential bodyguard unit for the Iraqi president when the Iraqi president was put in, so to keep him from being assassinated. And so this guy's insane. And I asked him, I said, how much breath work do you do? And he's like, he goes, I spend so much time on my breath work, and then in the SEALs, we would focus on that all the time. Meditation, breath work. It's huge. Being able to control your breath work, your breathing. So there's a Navy SEAL that talks about four square breathing, or 4-4-4-4. Box breathing is also called, and something that they use often. And so it's breathe in for 4 seconds in through your nose, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. Okay. So that's called box breathing, square breathing. It's just, you can do 4 seconds, you can do 5 seconds, but working on improving your breathing strategies will make a huge difference on the course as an athlete and off the course as a human being. I use breathing strategies all the time. If I feel stressed out, if something happens, if I need to focus in on work, I'll do some breathing strategies. So look up the square breathing. I talk about the square breathing in the Performance Academy, right? So you should have watched that, been able to watch that video. We talk about that in here, and also that 4-7-8 breathing. Okay, so those are two strategies. There's a lot of other things you can do, but if you can start working on your breath and breath control, it will make a huge difference. And so now that taking that back to that action steps and being intentional about it, being an active participant in improving your mental game, that's something where during your putting practice, during your practice rounds, during your field work, do some box breathing. Right? I just inhaled for 4 seconds. I held for 4 seconds. I exhaled for 4 seconds. I held for 4 seconds, right? So being intentional about that. All right, I'm going to get some of these comments here. There's a few other things we're going to, if you jump in on the Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle, and we have Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle members. This is being streamed live in the Inner Circle Facebook group as well. So those who are tuning in, current Inner Circle members, look for that dropping next Sunday. It's going to be 10 days of a new video each day on the mental game. So we dive into some more strategies in there. I'm going to get into these questions. If you got any questions, any comments, any feedback, please don't hesitate to, excuse me, throw them in there. Someone said, I heard, Andrew said, you're a former semi-professional soccer player. I've always had super high expectations, but I'm also super competitive. Yes, understood, right? And being competitive, being super competitive is a good thing. Having expectations, just general expectations of like, I want to, win a tournament. Like I want to win an A tier. Like if we have players, it's like, I want to win an A tier. Great. What am I doing right now? Like we can have expectations, but if that is what drives us, and if that's the measure of success or not, then that can be very defeating, right? Because we're not going to win every time, right? We know that, but we have expectations, but it's really about what are we doing in the moment, right? It's the process. That's where we need to put our focus on. So not focusing on this big moment, focusing on what am I doing right now. An example of is Eagle at D-Glow. So Eagle won D-Glow last year. And one thing that if you were tuning in or watched that, he had no idea where he was at going into the final hole, right? And Kevin Jones on the card. Kevin could have won. It was not Eagle did not have this in the lockdown, but he had no idea the expectations. He had no expectations, and he was just focusing on his breath. He said, "What is my expectation in the moment? My expectation in the moment is to do some breath work and to focus on what I can control." Right. And so that's where we get that, where we bring it into those types of expectations. What am I doing in the moment, and not so much like what are the big expectations? Like let that those are uncontrollables, right? We can only control what we can control. We can't control these uncontrollables like the outcome, right? We can't. We can only control what we can do in the moment and do that enough times, and then hopefully it gives us the outcome that we hope. But I hear you. I hear you how challenging it is to let go of, letting the expectations drive our not only our decision making but our mood and everything. I heard anger is a secondary emotion. Absolutely, absolutely. I know, Andrew. I will have trouble with not being disappointed when I don't perform. Thanks for the wisdom. Yeah, absolutely, Andrew. And you're performing. You're performing, right? But you're performing the process. Perform the process, right? Let everything else just play out, right? A professional baseball player that goes out and strikes out 3 times, and they come up on at the plate, their fourth appearance at the plate, and it is their fourth. Sorry, something has popped up on my screen that I'm trying to get off there. Their fourth appearance at the plate, they've struck out 3 times, bases are loaded. They have to say, this is what I'm here for. I know how to hit a ball, and that's what I'm going to do, right? Like they can't in their minds go, I've already struck out 3 times. Like they're there to show up and to hit, right? And so that's where their focus needs to be. Torrey Hunter, who used to play for the Angels, and that's my team. When he was playing for the Angels, one time I heard him say, he said, "Hey, we are as a professional baseball player, if we make contact with 30% of the pitches that are thrown at us, we are batting 300 and we are like a top level hitter. Like we're a good hitter if we're hitting only 30%. He goes, 30% means 70% of the time we're not making contact or we're getting outs. He goes, that is not like that. We're F. We're like an F hitter. But you hit 30% of the pitches thrown at you. You do that over the course of your career consistently, you're probably going to make it into the Hall of Fame, right? And so in disc golf, we put so much pressure on every single throw, on every single thing we do, right? And we can't lose the game. We can't lose a tournament on the first hole of round one, or even the fourth hole of round one, right? Or round two. We can't lose it with individual throws, but later on we can if we let our mindset go downhill, if we get frustrated and now we just let things compound, right? And we start trying to control things we can't control, and now that's how we lose it, right? So once you procrastinate is when you set yourself up to fail. Yeah, absolutely, Shane. Like putting in the work, putting in the work is a big key to success, right? Working disc golf. Marie says you took singing lessons earlier this year. It totally opened my eyes to breathing in ways I wasn't familiar with. Yeah, absolutely. The breath. That's the first thing we do when we come out of the womb is take a nice big deep breath, right? Or we start breathing. And so our breath work is tied into our physiological, our mental, our emotional, our physical. It gets tied into everything. So Eric, the 478 has really helped me a great deal to relax and regain focus. Fantastic. Disc Golf Jesus clearly does this with one big breath and he executes. Absolutely. And yeah, right. James, he always takes that nice big deep breath. Absolutely. Eric, smiley face. Yes. Awesome. All right. So that's what we're going to talk about on mental game tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. For those in the Performance Academy, you want to jump in and you want to get on more of the mental game stuff, or if you just want to get in and get into some more comprehensive training programs, Disc Golf Strong Inner Circle, it's open. Elliot's asking, how are we going to access it? Yes, we're posting, and there will be a post about it, and we'll send an email out about it. It will give you a link. They give you 14 days to test out the Inner Circle. It's $10 a month. Cancel anytime. And if you're an Inner Circle member and you want to get into the Performance Academy, the next one, all Inner Circle members, current Inner Circle members, when a Performance Academy comes around, gets to get into the Performance Academy for only $10. And we've had Inner Circle members that have gone through 2-3 Performance Academies. And they just keep going through because they want to get through and go through the content multiple times. So yes, so that information will come out. Believe that's all I have. We have a Tuesday Inner Circle coaching room next week inside the Inner Circle Facebook group. So if you join the Inner Circle, okay, then make sure you join the Facebook group. And if you're not in the Facebook group, just let us know. We'll send out a link that gets into the coaching room, into the Facebook coaching room. You don't have to have a Facebook account to get into the Facebook coaching room. Okay, Facebook makes that to where you can join in without having a Facebook account. You just access with a link. And then next Tuesday is the Inner Circle Live with Sarah Sinclair, a friend from Get Goody Nutrition. We're going to be breaking down and diving into some nutrition habits and how to help us both as athletes and just as human beings with improving our nutrition. Awesome. Well, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. Go back through the content. Remember, you have 10 weeks, so you still have 4 full weeks to go through the Performance Academy videos. So if you want to go back and refresh on some of them or get to ones you haven't yet, it's there for you. You'll always have access to the training program, but you won't have access after 10 weeks to the Performance Academy coaching videos. And the Inner Circle, for those that are wondering, the Inner Circle, we have an app. You can access the Inner Circle training programs on your app or on your phone. There's a Disc Golf Strong app. If you have the free app, it's the same one. You just log in. Once you're an Inner Circle member, when you log in, you have access to a lot more training programs. We have over a dozen training programs. We have off-season training programs, in-season training programs, busy disc golf athlete training programs, rehab training programs. So there's a lot going on that you can tap into as an Inner Circle member. And we also are going to have Inner Circle meetups when I'm out on the road for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We're going to have one coming up in Iowa when I leave, which I leave for tomorrow morning for the Des Moines Challenge. So, well, thanks again for tuning in and spending some time with me this night. I hope that you found some of this information helpful. Be an active participant in improving your mental game. Keep that growth mindset. Don't get disappointed, even though I know everything tells us we want to be disappointed in performance, but just put in the work and focus on what you can control, and you will have a better mental game. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Keep training Disc Golf Strong so you can keep playing Disc Golf Strong. Take care.